Hello guys and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. If you're new to my channel, my name is Maureen Achu. I'm a food, family and lifestyle vlogger. I live in the UK. I'm a Nigerian, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for always watching, always being there, always clicking on my videos. You guys, today's video is a story time. I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I was able to escape rape 3 times. I escaped rape. You're thinking about it now as a grown woman. There's this constant fear, that how would it have turned out if that had ever happened to me. And my heart definitely goes out to a lot of women that have been raped, a lot of young girls that have been raped, that were not able to escape or able to defend themselves. My heart really goes out to you. I hope you find justice, and I hope you find healing. So sit back and relax and listen to this story time, and I hope you're able to learn one thing or two, because to be honest, I learned some things from the experience I had. And because of the experience I had right now as a mom, I know better. I know what to teach my daughter better. I know how to treat people around me, younger people around me, better. And I'm still going to share that in this video, you guys. So guys, the first one that happened to me was when I was 11 years. I remember vividly, just like yesterday. Yeah, I remember so very well. When I was 11, I was living with one of my elder sister, and may her soul rest in peace, she's late now. I was living with her, and then one day she sent me out to go and give somebody something, a relative of ours. I think there was a birthday that day, and so we finished late. A child's birthday, we finished late, so she wanted me to take some cake, take some drinks and food to that woman. And I think the woman couldn't come. I can't really remember, but I can really remember that she asked me to go and give the woman some things, like edible things. So I left her house at about 5 o'clock in the evening. I got to that woman's house because it wasn't really far. But back then in the days, you just have to walk. You can't take a Okada. It's not like they're going to give you money for Okada. You have to walk. So I think it was like a 25 or 30 minutes walk to that lady's house. So now, when I got to that lady's house, I got there a bit early, and she wanted me to help her do some things. I honestly can't remember, but I know the lady very well. I think she gave birth, and she wanted me to help her do some things, which I did. I helped her do the things she wanted me to do. And then I left her house at, I think, 7:30. Because it was already late when I was leaving her house. At 7:30 to 8, that was when I was leaving her house, you guys. So now at the end of her street was the highway, like main road, where I was supposed to cross and then get to streets that will lead me to my sister's house. But then before I get to that highway, at the end of that street was a house, and that house was like the only house just around there. Like before the end of her street was just a little bush, which will now take me to the last house before I get to cross the road. I don't really know how to describe it. Now, opposite this last house on that end of the road was an uncompleted building that was just deserted and bushy, very bushy. And because there are no houses opposite that very house by the end of the street, the only house there, like I said, is just an uncompleted building that had bushes. Now, I was walking towards that very end of the street, and as at this time, NEPA had taken light, so everywhere was dark. You can imagine where everywhere is dark, and then you're now walking towards an area that is, bushy. Like there's a bush before the last house. So now, from where I was coming to, and it's really good to be smart. I think I was just a very smart little girl. From where I was coming from, I noticed that there were some boys by the house at the end of the street opposite that uncompleted building. There were about 5 or 6 boys, and these boys should be then, they should be about 15, 14, 13, 17. But you guys, I don't know, my instinct just told me, as at then I was just 11 years, my instinct told me that these guys were up to something. That's just what my instinct told me. That is either they were going to beat me, and to even think of the way our mothers raised us. For me, I was that kind of child that my mother never told me anything about sex. Yes, my mom never told me anything about sex. All my mom told me was that if a guy touch you, you're going to be pregnant. And if a guy touch you, you're going to be pregnant. And then as a small girl, I just felt like, oh, if a guy touch you, you're going to be pregnant. But with these guys, I didn't even think of rape. I've never been talked to about rape. I just felt like these guys, they won't let me pass. It's either they're going to beat me up or they're going to drag me. You know how you go to the market in Nigeria and boys will be dragging you, come and buy, come and buy. Some will even go as far as tearing your clothes just to drag you. Then when I was getting a little bit close, not very close, my instinct told me that these boys were up to something. I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do to escape these boys now? So I had just one option, which was to run back to where I was coming from. And then looking at where I was coming from, it was really far to where I had gotten to. Luckily for me, so guys, I just got up to go do something for Obi and I'm back. So luckily for me, you guys, I was very lucky that a car was just coming from my back. I don't know how that car appeared. So it was coming from my back and it was going to the highway, like it would pass those boys and get to the highway. And I had gotten very close to these boys that if I start running back, they will run after me. And how far will I run? Because where I was coming from was a bit far. So what I did, I don't know where I got the wisdom to do that, but that was exactly what I did. What I did was that when the car, you know, it was very dark, so the car kind of slowed down a little. It slowed down a little. So when the car got close to me, I went to the back of this car and I just, you know, bent down and I was going with the car, like running with the car. The car was moving, not very fast, but I was moving fast with the car. Now, when the car got to those boys were now looking for me because everywhere was dark. So they were looking for me, hoping that once that car passes, that they'll be able to, you know, get hold of me or that I might pass close to them, you know. And to show you guys that these boys were really up to something, they now spread themselves. About 3 people were at the other side, and then 3 people were at this side, or 2 thereabout. And then I was at the middle, at the back of this car, and I was just running with the car. When they noticed that I had started running, these boys started running after me. They started running after me. I knew that they were running after me, and the car was now fast. And this car had gotten to the highway and, you know, entered the highway. That was how I escaped. That was how I ran and crossed the highway, got to my own street. I saw them coming. As soon as they saw me cross, they just stopped. You guys, this was how I escaped rape. Thinking about it as I got older, I just knew that there was just nothing else those boys would have done with me than to, you know, rape me. Because there was an uncompleted building opposite and everywhere was just dark. No matter what they do to me there, nobody would have known I was even there. I strongly believe in my heart that those boys were just up to rape. So guys, the second one I remember vividly. I was about 13, between 13 and 14. I was a little bit grown. I had already, you know, started having sense when it comes to, you know, things like that. Even though I was not really exposed, but I had already started knowing that if a guy touches you in the wrong way, he's up to something. So there's this guy that my parents, you know, traveled with. He was always helping them, doing things for them. So we all traveled with him to my village for, I don't know if it is Christmas or Easter, I don't know, but I remember that it was at the village that this happened. And you guys, this guy is very friendly with everybody in our house, my brothers, my sister, myself. We all liked him so well. We all liked him. So I remember that back then in the village, they gave him a room, and that room was just in another side of, you know, the compound. Like my father has his compound, then my father's brother has his own compound. So my father's brother's side of the house, the people that didn't come home for Christmas, so they gave him a room there. I remember now, one of those days, he told me to come to his room, that I should come, that he wants to tell me something. So when I got into his room and I sat down, I was expecting him to, you know, start, giving me gist, telling me things, because this guy is somebody that we had known all our lives. I remember that anytime he used to also cut our hair, all of us in the house, when we were very small, and even up till that, as at that time. Like, he's very funny. He was like an uncle, older than us, like far older than us. As at that time, he should be in his 20s. So I remember when we were smaller, he would come to our house, carry us up like very high, and would be like, please carry me. Everybody would be like, please carry me. You have not carried me. You need to carry me. So he was someone very, very close to the family, but not related. So he now asked me to come and sit down close to him. As I close to him, oh yeah, give me the gist now. This is someone that we're very comfortable with. Tell me what you want to tell me. And the next thing, he started tickling me, like tickling me, on the armpit. And I'm like, is this what you called me here for? I thought you called me to tell me something. Oh yeah, tell me now, gist me now, And he was like, no, I just called you here to come and stay with me, come and spend some time with me. The next thing, he wanted to touch me on my breast. And that was when I knew that this guy was up to something. So I just kind of held his hand and I told him that let me go and drink what I'm coming. He was like, are you sure you're coming? I said yes. He was like, okay, promise me that you're going to come. I said, I'm going to come. He said, okay, that he's waiting. He now opened and he had locked the door, you guys. He had locked the door and put the keys in his pocket. So because I told him I was going to come, I assured him so well that I was going to come. He opened for me and told me that he's waiting. He stood there waiting for me to come. You guys, that was how I left and I escaped. And this thing happened when every other person had gone out. My mom had gone out, my dad had gone out. It was just left with me and my two younger brothers. Every other grown-up had gone out. So I don't really understand what he would have done. But in my head right now, looking back, I just feel like that would have been rape. Is either if I say no or I don't want, the next thing he would have raped me and maybe asked me not to tell anyone, and that would have been it. Now the third one, you guys, oh my god, this one is very, very emotional. This one is very emotional. Like, if I remember this one, I'll just be like, oh my god. Oh my god, maybe today I would have had a broken leg or something. This one happened when I got into the university. I had gotten admission and I was doing my remedials. Remedials is the course that will prepare you to get into your major course that you want to study in the university. So I was in remedials and I met this guy. I met him in the school inside the main campus. You have to take a taxi to get to the gate where you can now take another taxi to start going home. So after lectures, a lot of people like to take taxis out to the main gate, while some people would trek. But yeah, I was one of those people that would want to take a taxi. So I was just standing at one corner waiting for a taxi, and then this guy came and gave almost everybody there a ride, asked all of us to come in, all the people that were waiting for a taxi to get in. We all got in, and he then took us to the gate. So when he got to the gate, he was like, who is going to the highway? Because I used to leave, go to school from home then. He was like, who is going to the highway? That he's going to the highway. And I'm like, I'm going to the highway. He said, oh fine, then let's go together. So every other person came down and I was the only one left. I got to the front and we started going. When we started talking, and his mom was almost from the same local government where my mom comes from, and then he's from another state. So there was that instant connection. He was like, oh, my mom needs to see you, you're related to my mom, if your mom is from, because my mom and my dad are almost from the same place. If your parents are from this place, then my mom will want to see you and all that. And so he took me straight to my house. He was like, he wants to see my parents, he wants to just greet them and let them know that his mom is from where my mom is from. So I told him that that's fine, that my mom should be around, but my dad is not around. So this was how this guy came to our house. I took him in, he saw my mom, greeted my mom, told my mom where his mom was from, and my mom was happy to see him. Like, when you see someone that is from your place and all that, or that knows much about where you're coming from. So there was that instant connection. And then after like 2 days, he told me he was going to come. He came to our house. This was how this guy started coming to our house as a friend, and started relating with my brothers, everybody. Like, my mom liked him, so we became friends. Most times he will call me and tell me that he's coming to pick me to school. I shouldn't bother paying my way to school, and then he will come and pick me. At a point, he asked me out, and he was my very first boyfriend. I told him that, look, yes, I like you, I want a relationship, but I'm not ready to go down. You guys, you understand what I mean? But that if he knows that he doesn't want it that way, then there's no problem. I'm not into it, you know. I told him, like I told him specifically that I do not want this. This is what I don't want. I'm not gonna do this. If this is what you want, then there should be no relationship. And he said, oh, there's no problem. If you don't want sex, it's okay. That even him too, he's not into sex relationship, that he just likes me. We can build a future together. We can get married after school. That him, after school, he's going to get married. He now told me how he was the only son. You know, he started, you know, opening up to me. And then later on, he told me one of the days that, you know, we're hanging out, we started hanging out, we started having nice time. He was really nice to me, you know. He told me one time that his mom wanted to see me, that he has already talked to his mom about me and everything. So that was how he introduced me to his mom. His mom was so, you know, nice to me. His mom was so nice. His sisters were very, very, very accommodating, and he had about 7 sisters. He was just the only boy. His sisters were super nice, like super nice till today. One of the sisters is still my friend. Like, his sisters were so good to me then. So this was how relationship started, though, you guys. And to be honest, we were not doing anything, like no sexual contact. We're just, you know, friends. We'll hang out, go out after school, we'll go to Mr. Biggs, go to places. Sometimes he will be like, can you come and escort me to so place? My mom sent me to so place. I want to go and do that or do this. Can you come and, you know, escort me? I'll escort him. Same with, you know, me. Sometimes I'll be like, please, can you come and pick me? I don't want to, you know, pay my way to school. I want to save my money. And he will come and pick me. So in my head, though, that was how I concluded that I have seen a husband, a very good guy that will not touch me, that will leave me until I'm ready for marriage, until, or that will just, you know, not do anything to me until when it is time to get married. So to cut this very long story short, you guys, to cut this very long story short, one day this guy invited me to his house, which was very normal to me. I've been going to his house. I know his sisters, I know his mom. So when he invited me, I didn't really see anything wrong with that. And I went to his house. Every time I go to his house, we're always in the living room. We don't ever go into the room. So it was that kind of relationship. I came and I sat down in the living room as usual. I'm like, where is everybody? This was like in the morning, say 10 o'clock. I knew that some of the sisters would have gone to school. I was like, where is everybody? He said, everybody has, you know, gone to school. What about your mom? His mom too had gone to work. So I'm like, so you're the only one at home? He said yes. And I didn't even think of anything, like I didn't have anything bad in my mind. I just felt like it was normal for everybody to go to school. So now I'm waiting for him to get ready so that we can start going out, because I think he had lectures. But for me, I didn't really have anything during that day. Obi, stop it. This was like after a whole year. So he was like, I should come into the room, that he's going to take a shower and dress up. I should come into his room. So I just followed him innocently. I followed him into his room, sat down beside his bed, waiting for him to go take a shower and all that. And the next thing, this guy went and locked everywhere. Locked his own room, put the keys in his pocket, like jean pocket, and now told me that I should stand up. You guys, as at this time, this guy's eyes were already red like someone that smoked or someone that drank. It's either he smoked or he had drank something. His eyes were so red. He asked me to stand up. Obi is here, you guys. Obi is making this camera shake. He asked me to stand up. I stood up, you know, out of fear. I stood up. I'm like, what is it? He said, undress, remove all your clothes, remove everything. I said, undress for what? He said, today I'm going to F you. Like, I don't want to say the full word. I'm going to F you today. Whether you like it or not, nobody's going to save you. Everybody have gone out. It's either I do it or I kill you. The next thing, this guy brought out his belt. You guys, this guy brought out his belt. Like, oh my God. When I looked at his eyes were all red. His face has changed. This was not the guy I used to, you know, go out with, gist with. You know, the guy I used to spend time with, his countenance, everything changed. He was like, it's either you undress or I'm going to do it for you and I'll beat you up here. He brought out his belt. As at that point, I didn't know what to do again. I started crying. I started begging him. I'm like, please, please don't do this to me. Please, I'm a virgin. I'm a virgin. I want to keep this for my husband. You promised that you're going to stay with me. You promised that we're going to, have a life together. Because this guy kept, telling me then that we're going to have a long time. We're going to spend a long time together. I'm the only son. My mom wants me to get married. So I'm definitely going to marry you, So I was like, please, I don't want to do this. He was like, I'm going to do this today. Nobody will save you. See, my mom has traveled. My sisters are not around. It's either you do it now the way I want it or I'm going to beat you up. So I was begging. The next thing, this guy started flogging me with his belt. This guy started flogging me with his belt. So because he was flogging me, the first thing I did, I was putting on a jeans trouser. The first thing I did was to remove my top. He was like, remove everything, remove it, remove it. I removed my top, pulled out my top. I was just wearing a bra. He was like, oh yeah, start removing the other one, or I'll do it for you. He was screaming, his eyes were, oh my God. Like, I've never seen somebody angry like that before. His eyes were pure red. So I removed my top. I was thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And you guys, if you're a virgin, to give out your virginity like that is painful. So at that point, all I wanted was just to kill myself. So all I wanted was that, God, I'm going to die. This guy will not sleep with me. He will not. I would rather die than to let him sleep with me. So now I started going to the window of his room. Now they live on a first-story building. So the only thing I can do, and that window is just, this window that I don't know how to describe it. Once you open it, everywhere is like it's open. Once you just push it, it's open, and then you can jump down if you want. And this was a one-story building. All I wanted was just to jump. I was now imagining, how will I jump from this one-story building? I was just beside that window, thinking of how to jump. He was there screaming at me, trying to flog me. I'm like, don't flog me, I'm removing it, I'm removing it. So as I was removing my jeans, I had like a belt. As I was removing my jeans, I was thinking of how to remove my jeans and then jump down from that window. I don't know, God works in a mysterious way. The next thing I heard was like a knock on the door. Somebody was knocking on his own door. Knocking. And he didn't know that somebody was around. One of his sisters was around and he didn't know. So the girl was shouting, I'm going to report you to mommy. Open this door. Open this door. I'm going to report you. If you don't open that door, I'm going to report you. The girl was shouting. So he opened to talk to the sister. As soon as he opened and I saw that he had opened, I just ran out. I ran out and the girl came in, packed my clothes, brought out my clothes for me, brought out my handbag, gave me to wear, and the girl was just trying to console me. I dressed up, carried my bag, and the girl walked me almost halfway to where I was going to get an Okada and start going to my house. And that was how I escaped this rape. Like, God just saved me. God used the sister to save me. Later on, after some days, this guy started calling me, sending messages that it was just a joke, that he was just trying to test me. He wanted to know if, I'll give in. Meanwhile, this person that said he was trying to test me had flogged me like 3 or 4 times. I had, like, when you use these strong belts to flog someone, and my skin, like, I'm very fair. So the whole of the belt mark was on my back, was on my hands, and this guy was like, he's so sorry, that I should forgive him, I should find a place to forgive him. You guys, that was the last time I saw him. I never saw him again. I never talked to him again. I never even said what happened. Like, if my brothers are watching this, my brothers will be like, was this really what happened? Because later on, a lot of people were asking me, my mom, what about this guy? What about this guy? My brothers, what about him? I'm like, I don't know. I've not gone there to see him and all that. So that was the last time I saw him. That was how I escaped rape. And this one was so touching because it was someone I trusted, someone that, I believed could not have done that kind of a thing to me. And so yeah, you guys, this is how I escaped rape. So what I learned from this experiences, the first thing I learned from the first one that happened to me, I applied it so much. When I had a house help, back then in Nigeria, I don't allow my house help to go out once it's 6 o'clock. Once it's 6 o'clock, there's nothing I will send her to go and buy. Anything I want to buy, I'm going out to buy it myself. Because my house help then was just 13 years. She was a small girl. So anytime it's getting late, once it's 6, anywhere she is, I'll make sure that she's back home. And that's the same thing I'm going to be doing for my girl child. And that's the same thing I also advise everybody around me. Like, if I notice that back then in Nigeria, if I notice that I have a friend or a sister that, you know, sent her girl to go and buy something in the evening, I'm always telling the person that no, this is wrong. Don't look at what happened to me when I was much younger, and anything can happen to this girl. Apart from rape, all these bad guys, bad boys on the streets can even draw her, touch her breast, or say some nasty things to her. So I don't like sending anybody that is living with me to go out and buy something in the evening. That was what I learned from that first experience I had. Another thing also that I learned as a mom right now, like for my daughter now, Kaima is just going to be 5 soon. I'll start making her understand what sex is all about and what rape is all about. I'll start teaching her, because for me, my mom didn't teach me. I didn't even think that what those guys were planning was rape. I never thought it was rape until when I got older, I now knew that these guys were just out there to rape me. Because what are they beating me up for? What will they gain in beating me up? So it was just rape. And then there was an uncompleted building, so they had a place to go to. Another thing I also learned in all these experiences is never to trust a guy that you're not ready to go down with. Like, don't trust him into his house. Don't go into his room. If you're in your teens, if you're in your 20s, and you know you're not ready to, you know, have a sexual relationship with someone, don't go into his room. Because these guys, I'm sorry to say, like, any guy that wants to take advantage of you can, especially when they know they're stronger than you are. And if you must go in, be ready, be prepared to defend yourself. Then the next thing I also learned from all this, my experiences, that I wish 1 or 2 persons out there will learn, is the people around us, like the people helping us, all those people that come to help us in our house that are of the opposite sex with our children. Watch them, watch your children around them. Don't leave your children with them. Because what happened to me in my village could have turned to is either rape or maybe me consenting. And then as a little girl that didn't really know much, if I had consented and maybe that guy had sex with me and then got me pregnant, maybe today I would be regretting it. So if you have anybody that is helping you, watch them around your children and mind the way your children of the opposite sex plays with them. So yeah, I hope you learn 1 or 2 things from this story time. And I'm going to say thank you for watching up till this point. I'm so sorry that this video is a bit long. Obviously, I'm telling you guys bye-bye. Thank you so much, guys, for always tuning in, always watching, always being there. I'll see you guys in another video. Bye, guys. Bye, guys.